Trollord Games. Join the fray.
And the Troll Lord looks deep in thoughts as he stares at his cone. Yeah, we're live. I told you, you just didn't say, you didn't react.
Well, you said live on sound, so I didn't know what that meant.
It's Frey.
Yes, we are here on February 13th, 2000 and whatever year it is, 24, I don't know. Yes, George Phil Zomanga. Isn't that what what's his name says in the Big Bang? Zaboinga, Bazunga.
He says Bazinga. That's Zomanga.
Bazinga. There you go. Am I muted? Oh, I'm not muted.
Not
there
muted.
you go.
No, you're not muted. You're good.
Well, I had turned it off earlier. Okay, good deal. Hold on just a second. I'm in the middle of a conversation as usual. Perfect. All right. That's actually to get, for those of you who were around a couple of weeks ago, my wife and I purchased a car she owned back in during college. And I have been trying to make arrangements to have it brought down here to Little Rock. And the conversations have been entertaining, but I think that we finally have it settled and we should get it down here tomorrow or Thursday at the latest.
Is this the mythic vehicle that you were talking about?
This is the 280ZX. Do you want me to send you a picture of it?
Sure.
You can put it in the stream. I got a picture of the vehicle when she and I were hanging out in college. Kathy and I knew each other for many, many years before we got married. We met back in 1986. Kathy's my wife, for those of you just joining me. Kathy's my wife. We met back in 1986, 1985, and we got married in 96 or something like that. So this is a vehicle, and she's completely forgotten that we bought it. Her mind has moved on to other things. So this will be a nice surprise come spring that it should theoretically, Chuck, it's in your screen.
That's what it looks like? That's badass.
It's a badass car. Lucretius, I'm getting a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, you've had a couple people throw those at you. Lucidius did, and who else was the other one? There was somebody earlier on. Oh, Wolf Alone. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you all for the drinks of Dr. Pepper. It's been a very productive week, so it's nice to crown it as one of these things, and it's just Tuesday. I should wrap up War Mounts tonight, and hopefully, if not, early in the morning. And getting that car down here is super cool. And I want to get it fixed as fast as I can so that I would like to surprise her with it come spring. But there you go. If he doesn't have diabetes by the end of the stream, you aren't doing our job. That's right, Dirty. Somehow I have avoided that so far. I don't know how. But
what have I done?
Too much soda, I'm guessing. Well, welcome everybody to Ask Me Anything. I am Stephen Chenault, and that rambling beginning was because I was in the middle of a conversation with someone via text. This is Ask Me Anything. Any questions you have about the company, what we're doing, the 25th anniversary, the 20th anniversary, our new logo patch, which we've thrown all over the place, and blah, 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 blah. State of the Dens went up. And Kickstarters were running. Any of these questions, throw here in the stream, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook or here on Twitch. Let us know. We'll do our best to answer anything hurled at us. It's called water. It's fine. We know we don't talk games on this game company's channel. We rarely talk games on this games company channel. Did you get to see the clip that we chose for today's show from The Witcher? I'm telling you guys, if you like fantasy, role-playing games, and all of that mess, go watch The Witcher. There's 3 seasons of it, I think. I can't remember the actor. He does a great job at it. He's very passionate about it, clearly. And I think it's the guy who plays Superman. And it was a little rough for me to get into it in the first couple of episodes. Yeah, Henry Cavill. The first couple of episodes, but it really picked up, and I absolutely loved it. Joseph M1A1 says he didn't care for the show. Well, there you go, everybody.
I've not seen it. I've still not seen it because I tried to watch it when it very first came out, and I couldn't get through the first episode. But I usually I'll
was the
typically
same
go
way.
back and that shit'll work. I'll be like, oh,
I was the same way. I watched the first episode for like 10 minutes, and this is terrible, and I just didn't watch it. And I got bored one day, like 6 months, a year later, and watched it all the way through. And as for fantasy, it's really difficult to do fantasy TV and not make it look goofy, or because I don't think most of those directors and writers and actors and actresses who are in fantasy shows take fantasy as a serious genre. I really don't. I think they see it as cartoonish or funny or this kind of aberration when at this point and juncture it's nowhere in that. I don't know, it never has been really. Fantasy
right.
has been its own since the 1920s. It's been its own, really, since the 1880s. It's been its own thing.
Well,
It's just never treated that well by Hollywood, but Witcher seemed to do that.
if you say it's good enough, I'll tell you what we'll do. We're getting ready to wrap up. We're going to finish up. We watched that Mr. and Mrs. Smith redo the series.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it, but I know what you're talking about.
It's a really weird show. It's good. It's very good. It's not what you expect. I thought it was going to be the same as the movie. Not really, man. It's pretty cool. They do a deep dive into their whole life and stuff. It's good. But that aside, when we finished that, I'm either going to go back to finishing. We're trying to rewatch all of what's the show you just mentioned a while ago with Bazinga?
Big Bang Theory.
Big Bang Theory. We're trying to finish that, but I've been breaking it up and watching other shit and coming back. So we're due for another few weeks of that, and then I've got to find something else. So I'll watch The Witcher.
You should check it out. The Witcher. The Witcher is really good.
I will.
So Malaki 9998 says, "What is your opinion on the Dragonlance series being canceled?" I have this weird knee-jerk reaction when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons movies, and Dragonlance falls into that genre. Because I don't.
That's not going to be. That wasn't going to be a movie.
Yeah, I know. Because I don't play goofy games, I don't look at Dungeons and Dragons as a goofy genre or as a goofy thing, nor Castles and Crusades, nor whatever other games are out there. I look them at a little bit more seriously, and there is no D&D movies that are good. That they're not bad. I don't want to criticize all those people who put so much work and effort into that stuff, but they're not the way I envision Dungeons and Dragons or Castles and Crusades or any RPG that I've ever played. There's one of the D&D movies, I think the second one, the more modern version, which was okay. It wasn't too bad. So I'm really, when it comes to things like Dragonlance, I'm very, very gun shy that they're going to take this really cool property and just wreck it. I rarely comment on shows that I haven't seen, but I didn't watch Rings of Power. From what I saw, they took probably the greatest fantasy genre setting, whatever tale, and just utterly wrecked it, and took my favorite character from that the Middle Earth and wrecked her as well. So man, Joe Magnoli, I can't say his name. He was involved, so that probably meant something good. It's a shame. It's a shame they canceled it. But my knee-jerk reaction was they were going to wreck it anyways. But with Joe involved, surely they wouldn't have. Surely we just lost a really good TV show.
Tyrannus Rex. I'm sorry. Tyrannus Rex sort of segued on that with, I say we make fun of Watson for not being able to release 3 books in 2024.
Yeah, I don't know sure what's going on over there. They're going to get some wallpaper out, which I guess is cool for a multi-billion-dollar company. If you can get some computer wallpaper out for your 50th anniversary, that's pretty good, I suppose.
So, got a couple questions. First from Sparky, that we were just talking about earlier. I know the issue with hats because of the problem of sourcing in U.S. manufacturers. We'll see about that, Sparky. I will have a Troll Lord hat. Anyway, what about doing patches? Well, we're working on patches. Have you not heard the news? But anyway.
Yes. You should grab that JPEG and put the patch up for those who haven't seen it.
I can do that.
Did you put the car up? Did you put the 280?
No, I was letting you do your thing. What about doing patches? He says either iron or Velcro ones. It'd be cool to slap a TGLG logo on a patch on a backpack, or in my case, my hat. Okay. So I'll get that picture. While we do that, Steve, explain to them what they're seeing here on the screen with the wonderful car.
Oh, yes. So Chuck's putting up, to answer your question, yes, we're going to get some patches, definitely. And the new 25th, 20th anniversary patch is definitely what we want to do. So what you're looking at on the screen there is a car that my wife purchased back in 1985 or 1986. It's a 1983 280ZX. She bought it used. and she drove that car for years and years and years and years, on into the 90s. She absolutely loved that car. She's had, I don't know, a lot of car since. I think since we've been married, she's had about 6 or 7. We keep buying anyways. She's just not happy with it, but she's always been happy with that 280. And we were up in Jonesboro, Arkansas a couple weeks ago, and we saw it. We had sold it half a decade ago. We saw it in a lot, just sitting there dry rotting. So we swept the truck around, drove in there, bought it on the spot, and I'm now trying to get it down here to Little Rock. So, because I got this company, Custom Life, they do fantastic work on automobiles, and he has taken the job on, and it does not look that good anymore. So we're going to restore it to that condition at least, and hopefully come spring, give it to my wife, and she will.
She's going to love it.
Oh, she's going to love it.
And didn't you say she's probably going to forget all about it?
Oh yeah. She hadn't mentioned it since we paid for it. She has not mentioned it once. Because there's so many things going on with my daughter, my granddaughter, all kinds of stuff, buying a new house, all kinds of crazy stuff going on. She's all focused on that. So she's completely forgotten about this car. I'm just quietly getting it taken care of in the background. Unless she's watching the stream right now, in which case I'm
screwed then.
Yeah, I'm screwed. But there you go.
She'll probably not say if she's watching. She's polite.
I doubt it. She might be, but it's highly unlikely.
Highly unlikely. There's like a 2% chance, but it has happened.
Right. If she's bored, she
all right.
Be.
So Sparky, here you go, for you guys. Here's the official first patch from the company. It also resonates our anniversaries. Let me find it, and there it is, in all of its glory.
Tyrannosaurus Rex says, "I would never drive a car I could pick up and roll." Yes, this is, man. My book screen's blurry as hell. This screen is the new patch celebrating our 25th anniversary of publishing and 20th anniversary of Castles and Crusades. We have just rolled it out. We will have it on a patch. We're going to have it on a book embosser here very soon. That's already shipped to us. I am so jazzed on this patch, and I have to apologize to everyone who is even vaguely associated with Troller Games, because I threw out this broad net a few weeks ago about what everyone wanted it to look like, and everyone had these ideas. And they're all great ideas, and some of them were drawn up. Peter Bradley put a lot of work into it. Tullis got involved. He put some work into it. And then I went with something completely different. So, and it's really because in the midst of all of that, my youngest was talking about the active duty U.S. Army divisions in the United States Army, and we've got 10, of course, and one of which is the 1st Armored Division. And we were looking at their patches, and I was looking at that 1st Armored Division patch, and I thought, wait a minute, that's what we want. And so I put some elements together, sent it over to Grace. She sent it to her boyfriend, Nick, who hobbled that together. And it turned out absolutely fantastic. So super jazzed about that patch. And you will see it on something that you can sew or iron or however you do patches onto your jacket.
Yeah, I know Epi's got like a classic blue jean jacket covered with patches. He's been wanting one for years.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, Sparky, I do that all the time. I was telling someone the other day, we're working on something. We're doing some short videos for the company, and I told the guy doing the videos, I said, listen, just come up. Here's what I'd like. Come up with some screenshots and a script. And he's talked for a minute. I said, you know what? Wait a minute. Let me come up with all that. And then, because I'm going to just want to change that when you, so let me come up with it first, and then you can build off of my ideas, because I want to get some kind of stupid vision in my head. And then you're going to have done all this work. I don't know what OD format is, but sure, Sweeper, we will do everything we can to make it work. Alia Eect Erat. So that slogan comes from when Castles and Crusades was originally released. On the back of the book, and I had a first printing. I got a first printing right here on the back of the book. It says Alia Ayecta Est. I think I'm pronouncing that wrong. I was corrected by my daughter the other day. And that means the die is cast. That is theoretically what Julius Caesar said before he crossed the Rubicon and conquered Rome. But we changed that with Alia Ayecta Erat, which is the die was cast, because this is our 20th anniversary.
So that's what you did. I wondered about that.
Yes. Okay. So the die was cast 20 years ago.
I like that. That's a sneaky little Easter egg. That's cool. I like that.
It's nice. I had done a second version of this where I added a bunch of logos, but Everyone told me to remove them. So
Yeah, he was going to have all the different little logos on there from all of our products, but he got way too busy. I think someone
It
asked
got
about
really
Victoria's
busy.
in there, but it was just so much.
Uh,
A couple questions, but real quick while we're on the patches, Donovan asked, will the patch be ready before or at Gary Con?
Very possibly. It depends on at this point. It depends on the turnaround. I think Grace found us a patch maker. The embosser is already in the mail, headed towards us. And if we can get the patches before Gary Con, I think it's very doable. It's very, very doable.
A couple questions. Let's see. Cannibal, master of the underwater, Troy. Did you see my question about why Dunalog or Deep Home is abandoned? I will ride it if I have to. It's got flooded with water. Just kidding. All right.
Nice.
Let's see. Venom says, do you think Arid would be a good fit for a CK to introduce the class racial artifacts? The Elven Tree of, the classic ones. The Elven Tree of Life, the Dwarven Forge of Power, the Halfling Crucible of Black Flame, etc.
Oh yeah, absolutely. The setting is really built so that you can bring in, much like Castles of Shades, it's built so that you can bring in outside elements. I've got this pretty lengthy history, but its length is not hyper detailed. And other than the Winter Dark Wars, it's not hyper detailed, so it leaves you an absolutely huge amount of room to step in and kind of make it your own, to get into the world of Arid, into the lands of Ursa, wherever you go in Arid, and make that section your own. So yeah, I absolutely would. I weave stuff into my game all the time.
Oh, does he know why Dunglang was abandoned?
What is Dunalag? I don't know what that is.
I think that's a Greyhawk reference to Deep Home, which is the dwarves. That's the dwarven.
That I do not know. That I do not know. I really stuck with the folio version of Greyhawk. I bought the red box. No. Yes. I don't know. I bought the box set that came out after the folio, but I didn't use it much. I really just used it for.
He said it's an Arid.
It's in Arid.
Yeah, Deep Home.
Deep Home. That doesn't sound familiar at all. I'm going to have to open up my PDF.
By the Unkwood River and Mount Norling.
Oh, I know what he's talking about. Yes. So that wasn't a kingdom, if I remember correctly. Those were mines that were built by Norgorod, by the dwarves of Norgorod Com, and abandoned. Now that is an absolute perfect example of what I'm talking about. I didn't write very much about Deep Home, the Dunalog. I didn't write much about that. There's a little bit there. So when you're running Arid, you can take that stuff and expand it in any direction that you want to. Now, eventually, as I build more and more stuff around this, and I haven't gotten to that book, I'm actually going to do that section when we do the Free City of Altamira. When I do that book, I'll actually do more of Dunalog. But yeah, so I mean, you can do what you want with it. I kind of envision the Dunalog it's these gigantic mines, not quite a kingdom, but huge. But there's almost no dwarves left in it. It's just a smattering of dwarves still dwelling down in it. Yes, a tourist trap. Yeah, so that's the whole. That I'm glad you asked that question, Cannibal, because that's an absolute perfect example of the way I tried to build Arid. I just know that one of the reasons I love Greyhawk, I really do, and one of the reasons that I love it is when they did that, they left. There just wasn't a lot of detail. It was enough to really fire up your engines and get you going, and then the detail was left to you, and you could build it. And I certainly did. I took Greyhawk and ran with it. And when I did the Codex of Arid, one of the things I wanted to do was that same kind of thing, but with more background behind, so that you had the stories that you could build your detail around. You knew the Dunalog was here because of the Dwarves or Norgorod.com or whatever, but now you can make it at your own. Because that was the one thing that I felt that Greyhawk needed, was just more information on what the Reign of Colorless Fire was, or whatever had come before. There just wasn't a whole lot in it. So that was the good and the bad of it. How's it going? Wait, I missed. Someone has just joined us from YouTube. Ahmed, how's it going, man? How you doing today? Do we got any more questions floating around? Check that you see, or I know you.
No more questions. But I thought someone had one. Let me go scroll back up here just a second.
Yes, Tyrannus Rex. That's exactly right. That's one of the things about some of the other settings. That was just and the Planescapes boxes were a perfect example of this. Chuck and I were talking about these earlier.
Okay.
It is fantastic stuff. I mean, it is really, really cool. but there's no way that you can absorb all of that material every night and run planes. You just can't. I mean, it's too much. It's too much content. Whereas when you're creating it as you play, you're kind of living it, and it's like walking somewhere. Once if you walk somewhere as opposed to drive somewhere, you're going to learn. You're going to learn more, right, about the terrain around you. And when you create your own, that's sort of what you're doing.
It was a comment.
That I'm Devine. That is our celebratory patch / logo for our 25th and 20th anniversaries. 25th of the company, 20th of Castles and Crusades. That is where that will be our theme for this year. By the end of the year, you all will be sick of it. You'll be tired of seeing that logo as it appears everywhere. My fighter friend went to Dunalag, and all I got was this stupid T-shirt. Exactly. That'd be awesome. That's
Someone,
the air T-shirt we need. Do what?
we did have a question, but I'll let you answer. But it's from Joseph M1A1. He said, "Would TLG ever provide expert services such as graphic design for third parties?" I don't even know. We barely get lucky to get our crap done. I swear.
Yeah, we've got such a busy schedule. But what I can say, I'm more than happy to help with advice, things that we do, and things that have not worked for us, and things that have worked for us. And you can take that for whatever it's worth. You can just post me on Facebook or here or wherever. Shoot me an email, whatever, and I'll do my best to respond in a semi-timely manner, depending on how busy I am. But so a lot of the people who work for us are freelance. I mean, there's half a dozen employees, but there's a bunch of freelance people that we could send in your direction or send you in their direction, and maybe you work together, maybe you don't. But that may actually that could help as well. I do know. I remember when we started Trollord Games back in 1999. I don't know which book this was. I think it was the Codex of Air. I was laying out my first book, and I was using PageMaker, and I had no graphic design experience, no classes, nothing, barely enough computer experience to get by. I was still on America Online, I think. And it took me, it was easily over a day, if not a day and a half, to figure out how to move stuff from one column to another. So it was, or to keep it continuously flowing. It can be a sharp learning curve. Of course, things are a little different these days, but it's very hard to be an imaginative, creative person when it comes down to fantasy fiction, but being capable of actually translating your imaginary characters into actual is quite impossibly hard. It gets very difficult. It's one of the things, one of the reasons that we work with artists that, like, for instance, Zoe, man, she's been with us for like 10 years at this point, and she can kind of see what's in my head. I can describe stuff to her, and she's really good at putting that on the page. Either that or what she creates enhances or alters my vision such that I love it more. I don't think I've looked at any of Zoe's work and said, "What? That's not what I envisioned." And Peter Bradley and Jason Walton kind of fall into that same thing. But I will tell you this, Ahmed, you are correct in that it is tough to find someone who can translate that for you, because especially once you get it kind of ingrained in your mind, it's it's tough to see it portrayed with maybe bat-like wings instead of pterodactyl wings or what have you. It's very weird. From Facebook, William Freddy, I love having just enough information about a setting to allow for creative freedom. Never campaign setting. It popped up. I lost it. Newer campaign settings have gotten away from this. It's what I loved about Classic Greyhawk and drew me to the Afterwinter portfolio. That's just it right there. That's what we're talking about. I really think this is why Castles and Crusades, it's just a better game than the others on the market, and Aired, it's just a more usable setting than others on the market, because it is, we give you the material. Here's what you need to start. Now go and do your own thing. And I have to tell you, one of the coolest things I've seen, we had a group of younger, I guess they were all millennials, I suppose. Maybe they were Z, I don't know, but they were running games for us, and they were running them in Aired. And one of them, I can't remember her name now, Anne, I think. She played an Eldritch Goblin. Now, an Eldritch Goblin, when I'm running Aired, Eldritch Goblins are ancient, immortal creatures. they can be frivolous, they can be funny, whatever, but they generally aren't. They were created out of some horrific event in their life that Orandul, the Red God, was able to take advantage of and corrupt them. So they're they're just kind of broken creatures. And I play them rather seriously. But Anne played one as a player character, and she played it just completely comedically. The whole game kind of turned comedic, and it was in Aird, and it was great. I thought it was absolutely cool to watch people take Aird and go in a completely different direction. I would never play like that, but to watch them go in a completely different direction with the setting, it's just it was awesome.
One of the things we have come up all the time, people ask a lot of time about, is Aird our setting for CNC, and here's the thing, honestly, Aird doesn't require CNC, and CNC doesn't require ad, but when they're together, it's like sweet music, it really is.
Yeah. Because the setting was created. Really, it definitely was.
Well, it was created through CNC because you guys were playing it. So it's kind of weird how that.
Yeah, it was printed first, but it reflects the way we gamed. Me and Matt Golden and Davis and everybody, Todd and everybody. Both things reflect the way we played and the things that we liked in things like Greyhawk and Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Third edition is a great game. Fourth edition is great. These are great games. They all are, but they more and more constrained my ability or my desires as a player and as a DM that I just didn't want to do it. AD&D never really constrained. George, we use InDesign here. There's Jason Vay uses something else. It begins with an A. Active.
He uses Affinity, I think.
Affinity, yes, but we use InDesign here. Quark Express was a big thing back in the day when I was using PageMaker. We probably should have switched to Quark, but I don't know that Quark. Yeah, I don't know if Quark kept up with InDesign. That I don't know. We it's probably a very good program.
That's
much tough to find that cover in my new printing book. It's coming. CNC is the game that everyone else steals from. Yeah, I was watching them babble about Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I thought, I know where you got the core of that game. You're not fooling anybody.
No.
Thank you for that, William Frady. It is definitely mine as well. Calamar and Kinzer and Company does a great job of balancing how much information is posted for Jim. Yeah, they're great people over there at Kinzer. It's probably time to change, but be careful you go drinking with the Kinzer boys. They're tough. Is that how we got all of the Amish bears and Clint Eastwood hats from Peter Bradley, Kenson Vision characters, or is that straight? That's Peter. That is Peter Bradley. You can see he's got a very interesting background because his parents were they lived out west in Hollywood area, Los Angeles, and they were costumers because they're costumers to begin with, and they were specifically historical costumers. And then they found a lot of lucrative work out there in LA working for the movie industry. So you can see that kind of spill in. And the only movie I know they did the costumes for, I know it was more than this, but they did the movie Geronimo, which is a really good movie. I think it's got Matt Damon, and I think the Native American's name is Wes Studi, who I think that's his name. Fantastic movie, but they did the costuming for that, which is pretty cool. The Highlander, but fugly. The what?
No, you're right on.
So the Forge Ot3N says, hello, moving from first time chat. Thank you for joining us.
The Forgotten.
Oh, is that what that is? That's awesome. I never would have gotten that. Hello, moving from 5e to CNC, and we'll be playing and DMing my first game ever as DM using CNC. Oh, that's very, very cool. That is very, very cool. Well, I hope you have a fun game. I will tell you, when I started playing it, I would say about the third game I ran, having shifted for AD&D back in 2006 is when I started playing it. It took me about 3 games and I remember saying to Mac, holy shit, this game really does what it really is what we say. It's very easy. It says I wasn't yesterday's stream. It was a very fun channel that I could share with my own thoughts and fantasy fictional world that I've created. I'm an artist. Oh, very, very cool. Well, if you want to reach out, we got an email, productsupport@troller.com. Love to look at your art. And see what's going on. Let's see. I'm glad you could join us and glad you're enjoying the streams as well. And it is nice to be able to just sit and talk about whether it's games or The Witcher or whatever. I haven't mentioned Darkstar in a while, but probably way overdue for that. The Eldritch Goblin NPC in my game humorously abuses the gnome illusionist, but that might be his coping mechanism. Why he's into her. There you go. I just love my Eldritch Goblins. Ooh, there's a lot of comments. I'm just going to scroll to the end. If I missed some comments, sorry about that. I'm getting way behind. Tell us more about an email regarding the first printing reprint. Yes, first I'm going to take a swig of Dr. Pepper. Thank you, Joseph, and then I will tell you about that first printing.
We also have another. Whenever you're ready, I have one more question that's setting related.
Fire the question first, and then I'll do the
Alpha Zara says, "Has there ever been a city setting published by Troll Lord Games?"
We have done 2, the Heart of Glass and Town of Colossus. There's another one, and Baracle by Shadow of Night. We have done 3. And wait, there's a 4th one. Isn't Den of Inequity a city?
Yeah, and Heart of Glass is that not Ascadia? Is that not Ascadia?
No, and Escape. So we've done
that's
5.
it. Yeah, there's 5. I thought so. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, quite a few apparently. Heart of Glass is a pirate town in the land of Erd. Town of Colossus is a generic town you can place anywhere. It's a coastal city. We did Bluffside too, that I think still available in PDF. Bluffside's a really badass coastal city. Escadia? Is it Escadia? I think it's Escadia.
Oh, I thought it was Escadia. My bad.
I think I could be wrong. I mispronounced it for years. Now I can't remember which direction I mispronounced it in. And then Davis has written a couple for Nze. Bear Cult is one. That's by Shadow of Night is the title. I guess we got more than I thought. Let's see. Next we got. I just toured Graceland Sunday. If you had an adventure set there, where would you place it? Graceland, man, I'd have to put that probably outside of Avignon. I think that's where Elvis would live if he lived in the world of Aaron. Isn't that renamed 20? Oh, let me ask. So real quick, the first printing of the Castles and Crusades Players Handbook released in 2004, and this is one of the first printings here. We've only got, I think, 3 left in these offices. And ironically, I don't have a second or third printing. But we are doing a commemorative edition of this book here. You can pre-order it on the page now. To celebrate our 20th anniversary of Castles and Crusades, we will emboss the first title page, and Mac Golden and Davis and myself will sign it. So that'll be quite a cool thing. And the pre-order should be out about 6 weeks, give or take. I have a second, but it's mine. I have a bunch of copies of the first printing and second and third. Yeah, I don't know how I didn't keep copy. And actually, I know how Todd kept the library for years. And then he moved out of that house and bought a house, or no, he moved into rent. I don't know what he did, but that library got scattered in every which direction. So I first got mine in 2005. Yep, you're an old timer there, Rick. Hand it over to the Dr. Pepper factory. Gets it. Yeah, no kidding. I'm gonna spill something on it. Steve, you never sent me a copy of Hall of Many Pains. I need to do that. I need to get the PDFs of that for sure. So you can get diving into that. That's coming down the pipe much sooner. I am missing it. What?
Nothing. I think is that the one that's split into like 3 different folders or some shit?
It's 3 books for sure.
Yeah, I think I have it, Jeremy. I'll send it to you.
Okay. Yeah, I think
it's all messed up.
He has the PDF. Yeah, I actually, when we were ordered to destroy we destroyed a whole bunch of those books, but I kept a lot of the Hall of Many Pains.
Oh, he has
that one has
he wants a physical copy. I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Yeah, that one has a personal value. I don't know, to me, because Gary dedicated the Hall of Many Pains to me, which was kind of cool. 7th was a good printing. I can't either. I can't read PDFs, Jeremy. I try. I use it for search function. Then I go to the book and read the section in the book. William Frady says, I found CNC in its 4th printing. Oh, that's very cool. The green covers. I remember those years. We were trying to change everything the way we looked so that we could get a bigger splash, and it worked a little bit. But those covers, actually, I like the CKG. I didn't really like the PHB cover. Peter, I know he was trying to make a Displacer Beast, but he drew it, and I told him he couldn't, and then he had to fix it, and it caused issues down the line. Yeah, same here, Sparky. Same here, absolutely. Legit physical issues with PDFs, much less the multi-$1,000s of infrastructure needed to use. Yeah, there's that. My sister and I were talking about that just the other day. Question: will all the old module settings be re-released either as is or in adventure format? Yes. Yeah, we are redoing not all of them, but a good chunk of them will. We're in the C series right now. I think I pulled. Oh shit! I got to answer Bill's question. I pulled Bill off of C3 so he could work on the Hermit. When he's done with the Hermit, he'll get back on C3, but he can't finish the Hermit if I don't answer his questions. Because I'd like to get the C series back out next. And Jeremy has already gone through and kind of cleaned all the OGL material out. We will finalize the monster names tomorrow, which is going to make any changes that are happening, which is going to make things a lot easier. So yeah, you're going to start seeing more and more of this stuff come out. 50-year-old book still works. Got 19 dead tablets with that have updated themselves. Yeah, that's the thing. At the end of the day, and it's one of the reasons that we try to make sure our bindings are really good because, man, I know now Mark hadn't played with me in a year and a half or so, but he was still using his first printing at the table. He was banged up, but it's still holding together. Me either, Lando. That I really want to get that out, and I want to write a C0 to kind of do an introductory thing for low-level characters. If you wanted to play an RPG, not CNC or AD&D, what would it be? Does it have to be fantasy? If it's not going to be fantasy, I had a lot of fun. A friend of mine ran us in Dark Heresy years ago. It's one of the few other games that I've played. And then there's Gamma.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say it. That's what I was doing. Gamma World, our favorite.
I love Gamma. Absolutely love Gamma World. Swords and Chaos. Of course, I would play Swords and Chaos.
Of course, Swords and Chaos. Of course.
That was a given, Jeremy. No one was.
Yeah, they already knew that, Jeremy. They already expected it.
Ironically, Jeremy, you never sent me a Swords and Chaos. Davis, I saw Davis's copy this past
You
week.
never got one? I got one. You know how I got mine? I had to buy it. So.
Yeah,
I backed the Kickstarter.
It can be an expensive hobby. So Traveler was good. I really enjoyed Traveler. I think Traveler's one of those perfect games too that it's minimal. I mean, whoever's running is going to have to come up with a lot of stuff. And I don't have technical knowledge about any kind of equipment to run a good sci-fi game. I don't know how anything works, so I can't really do it. But my friend Chris Harris runs a fantastic Traveler game. I love Traveler. It's a good game. Let's see. I think Steve would enjoy Cephas's engine using the hostile setting. It draws heavily from Alien. Yeah, see, that stuff I love. I absolutely love gritty science fiction that is real. And that's what Chris put into his Traveler game. I remember my character got shot with a 357 and died, and I thought that's probably pretty real. Traveler's just a great little toolkit to build games with. Yeah, it's just something else. Gritty the better. Yes, Spam Viking. I'm right there with you. I like things that are. What did I watch last night? It was pretty gritty. Silent Night. I watched the movie Silent Night. It's pretty gritty, and it's a John Woo movie. If you have any idea who John Woo is, he's a Chinese director who does in Hong Kong insanely violent movies. Which is right up my alley. All stuff. Yes.
I want to show the stream something. I know that we're plodding along here. We've got about 20 more minutes or so for Lucky, but I want to put a piece of art up, and I want you to explain to them what this piece of art is. Will you?
Right. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord.
You ready?
Yep. Fire it away. That.
I can't get over it. So
yeah. So this is part of the Monsters and Treasure overhaul. That is the Green Dragon. That's the first of that 10 that will be done, and it is absolutely stunning. Jason did a stunning, stellar job of that. He's working on the Blue Dragon. I've seen the roughs of the Blue Dragon. It looks absolutely.
Oh, I just can't wait. I can't wait now, man. I'll tell you.
Yeah, each one of them will be done. We're long overdue. We're working really hard on the Monsters and Treasure to bring the Monsters and Treasure up to speed with the Player's Handbook and the CKG, and it is not there, and it needs to be there. Right. So the next printing of the monster book, the 6th printing, will be the 5th printing is still a great book. It's still very usable. It's got everything you need, but we will have a much more clarity in the text that we've got in. So it's super.
Couple things.
Blue is my favorite. Hold on, I saw this question about.
I was going to say something real quick.
Okay.
I figured that would be a long. I was just going to make a comment. Tyrannus Rex said, where's the CNC Challenge coins? I have a company in our back door in Arkansas that I'm going to turn Steve on to for some new coins. Hopefully.
Excellent. We need to get the patch on the.
Hey.
Yeah. Sparky. Yeah, exactly. On the coin. Sparky. Yes. I've got another load for you. I'll put it in the folder.
All right. Putting that down. That's excellent.
So someone asked, I think it was forgotten. Do you have any tips for new times DM? CK in our case. So, just off the cuff. Now I have a whole bunch of GM's tricks of the trade online somewhere. I don't know there. We got that book coming out very, very soon. We really should get it out immediately. So what I always first thing I say is don't go for any grandiose thematic stuff. Just make a very simple adventure that involves, if you're just starting to run a game, that involves just a very contained scenario. Like goblins are raiding an inn and you've got to fight them, drive them off, something like that. Keep your opening scenario, your open 2 or 3 games, very, very simple and very, very focused, so that you can learn kind of how to run the game, how you're going to how you react to the players, how the players react, and all that stuff. Try to use simple but sharp descriptions, meaning use keywords in your descriptions. If you're describing a forest or something, or a table, say you're describing a table, just say it's a table made out of oak. It's a table made out of maple. If you're doing the forest, it's the same thing. You can see this willow tree there that shed half of its leaves. Just to give your descriptions a little bit more something for them to latch upon, and then try to do some non-deadly, non-lethal environmental things that for Castles and Crusades. This doesn't really go for other games, though it might. That allow everyone to make attribute checks, say climbing up a ridge or jumping off of a wagon or crossing a river. So that you can learn how the attribute checks work and they can learn how the attribute checks work. And those things actually encourage players to do all kinds of stuff. It could be as simple as gathering firewood, hearing a noise, whatever it is. Do that a bit so that you can get a handle on things. And then lastly, engage your players. Try to get. It's very, very easy for GMs, for CK's GMs, to kind of dominate the conversation at the table. So try to get them to describe their characters, to role play a little bit. But descriptions is where your biggest key is going to be into getting players to play the game. Describe your character. What do you look like? Describe what you're doing to get across the river. That type of stuff. Those are my 4 quick points. Fire, Chuck.
I was just gonna say, Chris, that's who I'm talking about. I've talked to those guys before a couple years ago, but things have changed, so I'm gonna push it back on his desk. But anyway, continue, Steve.
Excellent days. Any more questions pop up while I was babbling on?
Nope. It was a good helps too. Those were good quick tips for sure.
I was wondering, there's West Fork. I remember I've got their stuff saved somewhere, but I'll bet you they could do coins with those patches on them. That would be very cool.
Oh, I know they could. I know they could for a fact. So.
Steve, why is rent so cheap in North Little Rock? So it's weird. Is Gold with us today? Little Rock is south of the Arkansas River, and North Little Rock is north of the Arkansas River. And North Little Rock is so much better run than Little Rock. It's weird. It's just weird. They've done this gigantic city overhaul for the past decade, cleaning all this stuff up, rebuilding buildings, and they bought the Argenta area is beautiful. It's got all kinds of little cafes and restaurants and crap. And next to Argenta, I don't know who they are, land developers, I guess, have bulldozed old houses and they're putting in nice condos and just sidewalks and the whole 9 yards. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in North Little Rock, but if you want to talk about good city management, North Little Rock, you don't even put your leaves in bags. In North Little Rock, you're supposed to put all your leaves on the street, and they have this giant truck come by and suck them all up. So you're not even filling the landfill with plastic bags. It's crazy. Sparky, it is. North Little Rock has been booming for a while. It's an interesting town, and I don't know why people in Little Rock can't look across the river with envy and say, maybe we should do that. But who am I? I'm just the Troll Lord. Sweeper, they will not be out in March. There's literally no way they will be out in March, but probably in April. We've got, I had the player's handbook in hand to go to layout, but they discovered some capitalization issues, so they're fixing that now. So I should have the player's handbook by tomorrow, and I will get that to Peter, and he'll have that laid out, within a week. And CKG should be on my desk, or it should be on Jason's desk for the final look over by next Friday. So we're looking at the end game of these things, but it'll take 3 to 4 weeks to print minimally. So that's not going to happen they will probably go to print before Gary Con, and I doubt they will make Gary Con, which is very disappointing, but that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. We don't want to rush these. We want these to look good. I've always felt like we shortchanged Amazing Adventures a little bit, and I do not want to shortchange it in this printing. It needs to stand, right up there, neck and neck with.
I want us to have some. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know we've even discussed adventures yet, but I definitely want to make sure we got some. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's got a ton of it, so we just need to get it all out. And besides, South Little Rock is known, but yes, it is known because it's the South. People across the river or the street, they'll be the bad guys. There you go. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's just crazy. I run the hell out of it. Oh, excellent.
Yeah.
Tyrannis Rex. Well, we got some great conversions coming out. Don't even have garbage. I have my own garbage man. Gotta love Tennessee. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's just funny. Little Rock is just a funny town. It's just a funny town. We need more generic sandbox world generators with encounters and an oracle. That's kind of an interesting statement, Frank. That's very cool. We need more generic sandbox world generators with encounters, which is all generic, and an oracle, which isn't that generic. It's very funny. That's very cool. Deciding whether you're going to up to White River Fan Con first. Probably not. I sent that stuff over to Chuck. We probably are not going to be able to make that with Gary Con on top of it. I know I won't be able to because Gary Con, I'm at the Founders and Legends, so I'm up there for like 9 days, and that's
Chris Donovan has an interesting question that I meant to tell you a while ago. He said, "Can the Crom font be used horizontally for the covers?"
The Crom font. So that's like the Conan font. Is that?
Yeah, like the one off the Year of the Troll, our old one we used to use all the time.
Oh, yeah, you don't really want to do that. And the reason is that most retailers still display in leveled and shelving like this. So if you do a Crom font down the side, they can't. No one can read it. You really want it still at the top. It's why we do that stuff that way. Now that has begun to change, and as retail has left part of the building empty, it leaves things open to different layouts. But at the moment, we're not going to be running that direction. When we get our challenge coins, all meetings can be initiated. Like John, that'd be badass. We do a little box. That'd be kind of cool, actually. Do a coin in a box. Didn't they have a coin in a box or something? I can't remember that. Those movies went from kind of a gritty, realistic revenge flick to almost fantasy. Still good, loved them, but I think
Gamehead from YouTube asked, "What's your favorite skill-based system?"
Oh wow, I don't think I've ever played a skill-based system.
Probably not.
I never played Rollmaster in the day. I played Mercs. Is Mercs a skill-based system?
Hero
I played
system.
that back in the day. I never played Hero. Yeah, King Color's got it. Steven has never played a skill-based system. I don't think that I have, unless Mercs is. And if Mercs is, I didn't make my character. Matt Golden did. So, Mercs is skill-based. It's roll divided by 5. There you go. Never played Call of Cthulhu. Man, I don't think. Surely I played a skill-based system. I know I did. There's some kind of science fiction thing back from the 80s. Traveler. No, Twilight 2000. Was that a skill-based? I played that once or twice. I played so few role-playing games. It's sad.
You're probably thinking of Traveler, because Traveler is definitely skill-based.
I played, so I can list them. It's funny. I played Dungeons and Dragons, the Brown books. And then Davis started just whatever. I don't know what he added to it. You'd have to ask Davis. And then I played Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. And I never played any of the box sets, the pink or the blue or any of that. I never did any of that. I played AD&D. I played Castles and Crusades. I played Gamma World. I played Twilight 2000 once or twice. I played Dark Heresy some, maybe a summer. And Traveler I played off and on. And that's it. There may be one. And Mercs. I played Mercs once. I do remember playing Mercs once. But I didn't make my character.
Jack McCarthy from YouTube asks, "What's the longest campaign you have ever run or played in?"
So that's definitely the Winter Dark campaign, and it wasn't called the Winter Dark campaign until later. We refer to the big game. We started Luther. Luther was Todd's third character. So that's going to be 1986. We started it in 1986, and the campaign came to an end when they banished Unklar, which is kind of the core of the Codex of Erd. That campaign turned into the world of Erd. that and merged with a fantasy novel I wrote years ago. But God, I think that was, I want to say it was 2006, may have been later. We were at Max Brown Street House, about 2005, 2006. So that one ran for almost 20 years, give or take. And Todd didn't know the exact dates, but that is the longest game I've ever run. And we still go back to it once in a blue moon, just to play like a one shot or something. I've been using a Chrome font with the words side by side rather than stacked in the logo to fit across the top of the cover. Sorry for not being. We could do that, but I think the Chrome font is cool, but it's so associated with Conan that I wouldn't really want it associated with CNC. It is a very cool font. I don't have all the games mentioned in the backseat of my car right now. Get the Free is really good with the hex crawl games. That reminds me of the question: is there a significance to Unklar's skull? I noticed art depicting this. To Unklar's skull, there is not a significance to it. And what are you talking about? There is a mace. There's Utriol that is his mace of judgment, but I'm not sure. It's literally called the Crom font. After all, yeah. Only dropping in to say hi. How's it going, DK? Hey, I've got your thing on my desktop. It's your proposal. It's here. I will try to get to it this week and shoot you an email. Switch from the Crom font to the Cane font. Need more curl. There you go, Tyrannus. Do what?
There's a question on, let's see, where was it? YouTube, Frank Destros. What is your favorite sandbox generator? Or do you like open world hex crawling?
That hex crawling is very interesting because someone posted a question about hex crawl mechanics, and I was only vaguely aware of.
I think it's fun in its own. Like, in other words, I wouldn't do it all the time. You know what I mean? For me personally, but I definitely think it's fun to do. I think you can have a good night with it.
I can do hex crawl, what I call dungeon crawl. I can do dungeon crawl, man, maybe a couple hours. I'll do a 10 to 12 room dungeon, and that's all I can do. There's so many limitations to descriptive text, because it's damp and there's stone and there's cobbles or whatever, that I can't do a whole lot. It's dark. I can't do a whole lot. Half of the characters can't do anything because they're outdoor characters or whatever. So I'm just not a huge, I'm not a huge underground.
Well, hex crawls are typically overland. Okay. And basically, it'll basically be a map that's in grids, and what you'll have is a symbol like a mountain or a forest, but you don't know what's there till you go there.
Oh, that's interesting. I don't think I've ever done that. I do overland 95% of the time.
I know. Right. You would be interested. I would like to see you play a hex crawl because you don't know it. You don't. I mean, it's so for the GM, it leaves it way. You have a lot of power there on descriptive if you want to, because they don't.
Yeah.
They actually don't know. They don't even really know what's there, to be honest with you.
I guess that what I just call overland adventures is what you guys are calling hex crawling. Because I will describe, like when they're in the Darkenfall, I'll describe the forest that they're going through, and they don't know what's beyond. And frequently I don't know, and I just make it up as I go along.
Right.
So I guess that's hex crawling. I call that overland. That's very funny.
Well, typically the map is blank. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, like, if you remember the old, what's that?
Does the CK not know what's
on absolutely. He'll have a regular map. But like, take, for example, the old Isle of Dread adventure. You remember how there was a player's map and the whole middle of it was gray? That's
okay. So yes, I do a hex crawl. Okay, in that case, I do hex crawl all the time.
Yeah.
And that's what I run mostly. Though that doesn't make a lot of sense to me because I run campaigns. So once you go through a hex, you can go back through the hex and it doesn't change. So you know what you've explored. But most of what we've been running a game probably for 6 or 7 years, maybe even longer, in the Darkenfold, and I would say 90% of it is in the Darkenfold. And at this point, we know, and that would be a hex crawl, I suppose, because we know everything.
I've got a thing I'll send you later when we get off here. It's a hex crawl generator. It's fucking badass. It's really good because see what happens is technically it's really based off random encounters that Jay was talking about in the old days. That's how it was. Everything was randomized, and you just have this mystery square. The GM would roll up ahead of time or whatever,
We were playing different games than you guys because I used the world of Greyhawk and I knew it was in the hex. It was a forest. This is the Dreadwood.
This would probably be pre Greyhawk Folio when hex crawls came. Hex crawls were the first kind of overland design. Really, that's how it started. Really, was people just get a piece of hex graph paper and I'm going to put jungle here, and I'm going to, oh, what monsters?
Yeah,
Roll.
but as a GM, I did that before the game started.
Right.
So that's just overlay. I think Chris is right. We're all just calling this. I don't think, man, I could be wrong. Tyrannus says hex crawl equals Titan the board game. I've played since the 70s, and this hex crawl verbiage only seems to have been popping up in the last year. So back in 78, Chuck, you called it a hex crawl?
No, growing up we didn't call it shit. We called it D&D, but that's
exactly.
That's the terminology. And I find it interesting that it's really starting to be talked about a lot in a lot of places. You're right. I begin to wonder if it's maybe something that might come back. I don't know.
Hey, I don't know. I think what's happened is people have been playing Dungeons and Dragons. A lot of new people have come in, and they've decided that you don't have to play just dungeons or these encapsulated things. You can go out into the wilderness and do overland, and they needed something to call it, so they started calling it this hex crawl stuff.
According to who was it that just said that? It was
well, Jay says it was on the hex paper back in the day for outdoor. It's nostalgic now. So Jay, did you call it what?
Someone said here that it was actually in the back of the DM's guide. I'm looking to see. I don't remember.
Jay, did you call that stuff back in the 70s? You and I were playing at the same time. Did you call it hex crawl? Because I never did, and we just called it an overland. We're going to do an overland adventure, and you do overland.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Hex crawl probably only came about as a counterpart of the term dungeon crawl. That's what I would think. I don't know, Jay. You're a good authority on these things, and I will tell everybody I was kind of insulated. I wasn't part of a broader community. I gamed with my crew, and we gamed. Actually, from what I remember, the Darlene map was wide open. Yeah, but you knew what was there. If you're in Greyhawk, I knew the Dreadwood is a forest and whatever is a plains and blah blah blah. I never and the Greyhawk map that had the hexes on it, but we never called it hex crawling. We called it overland. Yeah, I remember the hexes. That comes from the wargaming stuff. If you look at war games, they all had the hexes, whatever. That's how the war games were in those days. So you could do frontage of your units and all that bullshit. But I just don't remember calling it a hex crawl at all. The first time I heard that terminology was like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And a map to which all others maps create. Yes, indeed. Millennials finally discovered hexagons. But it was outdoor sandbox. Yes.
Well, somebody said it was in here in the back in the appendix. I don't remember that, but I'm gonna look
at it. Guys, so I don't know. just played it. The only section I can quote on that is this: make up your own rules or whatever. You're right, Jay. It wasn't called a sandbox either. I know that term came much later. So it was just I don't know what we call them. Hex crawl is fairly new, but describes the old phenomenon of using hex paper. Okay, that makes sense to me. I just don't remember ever seeing hex crawl as part of early D&D. We called it overland. Yeah, it was just overland for us. But in overland, what are we doing tonight? Dungeon or overland? Overland. I remember hearing the term hex crawl a decade or two ago, but maybe it's the Mandela effect. Yeah, there you go. And you hate puppies and kittens and dogs. Say it isn't so. It was all the style considered all the wandering monsters and counter tables. Yeah, there you go. We've got to.
I was going to say, yeah, a lot of people are asking about it. I'm going to drop this link in there, but I will send it to you later, Steve. This is called Hex Roll. I thought it was pretty nifty. So you guys can go check it out that are interested in it or whatever. They've got 2 versions.
So Dungeon and Survival Guide, Wilderness Survival Guide. We just always refer to it as Dungeon, Wilderness, or yep.
That's right.
There you go.
Yeah. And what that does is that's a generator on there. You just basically hit a button and it'll create. It's kind of neat. I thought it was kind of neat. They got some really interesting stuff.
Merlin says Appendix B, random wilderness terrain. And I use that shit all the time. I use I didn't use that. I'm sorry. Ironically, I didn't use that chart because I made up my own maps, but I did use the random dungeon generator in the DMG. I think the obsession with naming things that probably is accurate. And as more people are playing it, they're trying to understand what they're doing. And really, I've talked to a lot of young players in the last few years. I remember the one guy that came up to the booth and said, we were talking, trying to sell him some 3rd edition. He goes, well, I finished Dungeons and Dragons. And I looked at him for 10 seconds. I said, what do you mean you finished Dungeons and Dragons? He goes, well, I finished it. I played all the scenarios. That's not how this works. That's not how this works at all. But clearly, I think that when there's no context for people coming into this hobby, it's a weird hobby. I just had to explain it to a major licensee holder. It's hard. I think it's hard to do, and I think the naming becomes a natural thing the more people are trying to figure out how to do it. I won D&D. That's sort of what he was saying. It's kind of weird. It's very weird. Super nice kid, but all right. I think we got to go. It's 5:30. Yes, Mom, I won. I want to thank you all for showing up for the stream tonight. This was a great one. This was a very informative stream. Very informative for me. It's good to learn things about this industry. So that's always a good thing. Right, the terms were the result of the books TSR published. There you go. All right, so you all have a fantastic rest of your evening. Chuck will be around in the morning, and we will be back on. And Chuck, I'll be joining everybody Thursday. We will be back on Thursday to see how the week has unfolded.
I'm setting up a raid. We're going to raid into a random D&D person. He looks like he's talking, so it's another talk show talking about D&D dungeons, I think. So we're going to go raid into him anyway. That way, if you would still want to hang out and watch some stuff, you can. You can be. I'll reach out to you, Jeremy, here in just a minute because I got to talk to Davis too. Thanks everybody for coming by. We really appreciate you guys so much.
You too, Freddie.
And there's our schedule on Twitch, which also reflects over to YouTube and Facebook. We do all three at the same time. Again, we appreciate everybody for coming out. You guys have a great evening. We're going to raid out now. Have a great day. Thank you so much, everybody.
Take it easy, everybody.